You guys know that any opportunity to explain an economics concept or a behavioral economics concept, I welcome those opportunities on the show. And today I have that opportunity thanks to an anti-vaccine leader who has repented, an anti-vaccine leader who was completely committed to their anti-vaccine activism, but has now changed their mind and admits that the anti-vaxxers have deaths on their consciences, if not on their hands. This is a very interesting story, and there's a lot to say about it. As Newsweek reports, anti-vaccine speaker Pasquale Bacco repents after one of his fans has died of COVID unvaccinated. And we'll talk a little bit about when it becomes personal. An Italian anti-vaccine speaker has expressed remorse about his actions after he discovered that a follower of his who died of COVID had videos on his cell phone of speeches that he made. Pasquale Bacco is a doctor who was a prominent anti-vax activist in Italy, taking part in numerous rallies and events. But now Bacco, who has more than 7,000 followers on Facebook, said he was a believer in the effectiveness of vaccines. When asked by the interviewer what changed his mind, Bacco talked about an incident in which he saw a 29-year-old man die of COVID. Quote, he had on his mobile phone the videos of my rallies at the demonstrations of the unvaccinated. The family told me he was a fan of mine. They didn't tell me with anger. On the contrary, and this hurt me even more. I feel like that death was my fault. And the thing still bothers me today, for it was not a creed. When I saw the reality of my own eyes, with my own eyes, I realized that I was wrong. Asked whether he felt guilty about his actions, Bacco said, I think that those of us who went up on those stages have deaths on our conscience. All of us anti-vaccine activists have been great cowards. We went to the squares, and when we spoke, we knew that people wanted to hear shocking things, so you provoke more and more. We were really big bastards. I don't hide it. That's the truth. For this, I have asked for forgiveness from everyone, but that forgiveness is useful. He spoke at around 300 anti-vax protests and was the only young doctor with experience among the speakers. And he now recognizes the destructive power of being a doctor at these events. He said, quote, what I said was pure gold for people who were afraid and looking for certainty. You don't realize you are losing your rationality. You lose your mind while being a rational person. At that moment, a dangerous process takes place. That anti-vax is a faith, and you become a god. You enter absolute madness. The anti-vaxxers are people who were afraid and find security in you. So many important things here. Number one, for years, I have been talking about this phenomenon wherein part of what makes conspiracy theories and conspiratorial thinking attractive is that it provides certainty in an uncertain world. And that applies here. And I'll explain it in very clear terms. Well, let me give an analogy first, and then I'll explain what this is. Why is it that to some people, it's appealing when there is a horrible mass shooting that kills 20 kids? I won't even say the name of it because then the video will get demonetized or limited. There's a mass shooting and 20 kids die. And some people come out and they say it was a false flag planned event with crisis actors meant to create fear, to justify taking people's guns. Why do they say that? Because the truth is really scary. The truth is uncertain. The truth is kids are mostly safe in school. But sometimes, seemingly randomly, you might say, well, we're in Nebraska, so it won't happen here, or we're in Connecticut, it won't happen here. Randomly, these horrible things happen, and your kid is killed. And that uncertainty is really difficult for many people to accept. And so it's more, in a sense, comforting to believe there's no randomness here. This was a planned event. Now, it ignores that the event could be planned at your kid's school or at someone else's school, but it gives you a sense that there's not this random, unpredictable nature to the world. Similarly, it's really stressful to them to believe, well, there's a virus and most people are okay, but a bunch of people die, and sometimes who dies is unpredictable. Could it be me or maybe not? And there's this vaccine, which it's mostly effective at preventing people from dying, but it's a bell curve distribution. And every once in a while, there will be people who are fully vaccinated and they die. So it's simpler to believe the vaccines just don't work. They're evil tools. They are meant to control people or microchip, or they would rather that. It's all planned. It's all planned rather than the vaccine probably will protect you, but it might not. And the virus probably won't kill you, but it might. And it could be your parent or child or whatever. And that is exactly what Pasquale Bacco is picking up on here when he says the certainty of the anti-vax stuff, particularly hearing it from a doctor, is so important. Now, do we like forgive this guy? It doesn't even really matter. I mean, it's not about forgiving or whatever the case is. One other thing that's at play is don't fall prey to the sunk cost fallacy. You're always better off coming around and turning back to sanity. And a lot of people like this guy, because they feel like I'm really committed to this anti-vax stuff. I'm too far gone. I'm not turning around. You can always come back. And the sunk cost fallacy, a couple of examples are, you buy a ticket to a movie, to 2-hour movie, and after an hour and 15 minutes, you're like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen, but I already paid, so I might as well stay. If you could better use those last 45 minutes to do something more enjoyable than watch the crappy movie, you've paid for the ticket either way. You shouldn't stay because you've already sunk a cost into that movie. You get out and you enjoy the last 45 minutes doing something else. That's the sunk cost fallacy. Another one is, you go to a casino and you lose 80% of your money and you stop having fun, but you figure, well, I lost 80% of the money. I might as well keep playing. No, you don't have to keep playing and lose all of it. Just walk away and go do something that's more fun. So that's the sunk cost fallacy. Good for Pasquale here, not falling for it and saying, as far gone as I am, I'm going to turn around. And that's exactly what he did. And, I'm not even saying he should be forgiven or not, but very interesting commentary from this guy. One of our sponsors is Kamikoto, who creates elegant high-end Japanese steel kitchen knives using traditional techniques from Honshu, Japan. I'm a huge fan of Japanese kitchen knives. I've owned a bunch of different sets, none as nice as my Kamikoto knives made with real Japanese steel. Every knife comes in a beautiful heavy-duty Ashwood box and a lifetime guarantee. You can get them in several different sets and combinations. Kamikoto makes it really easy to figure out which one is best for you. You can also pick up one of Kamikoto's sharpening whetstones, which are designed specially for Kamikoto knives. I've had an excellent experience using Kamikoto knives in my kitchen at home. It just feels comfortable in your hand. The mechanics of slicing with high quality Japanese knives like these feel really, really nice. And right now, Kamikoto is having a huge Valentine's Day sale. You get $50 off on top of their other offers when you go to kamikoto.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is down below.